Hey friends, today we are going to be learning about time, and our learning target says I can tell and write time from analog and digital clocks to the nearest 5 minutes. So we're going to start there with this lesson. And I'm going to teach you what an analog and a digital clock look like and what they are and how they work. So we're going to be working on telling time, very important skill. So the first thing I want to look at, this clock right here, this is the analog clock. That's the circular clock that has the numbers that go around in a circle on it. So we're going to learn to tell time on that type of clock and on this digital clock. And that has just numbers. But just so you all can see, the top one is the analog clock and the bottom one is the digital clock. So let's look at the basics for telling time. So let's look at the analog clock first. So when we have the analog clock, you can see we have numbers. We have 12 at the top, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then it goes back in a circle. So it just keeps going and going and going. Time keeps going and never stops, even though sometimes it might feel like it. It's just going to keep going in a circle. So it's just revolving over and over and over. So first thing we want to think about is that our clock, we're going to have two hands, but they're always going to be spinning this way. They're just going to be going in a circle like this way. Okay, put the arrow like that. I'm going to erase that, but I just wanted you to see that this is clockwise. When we hear the word clockwise, it's going around kind of to our right. Okay, let me erase this so we can talk about some other things. Now, on a clock, you've probably seen that there are two hands. We are going to have an hour hand, and I'm going to use blue for an hour hand, and it is your shorthand. And then the minute hand is going to be red. So we'll just do a red, and it's longer. So the longer one is the minute hand, and the shorter one is the hour. So I'm going to label this minute, and then the blue one is, we're going to say, is hour. Okay, so let's talk about this. So let's think about our hours first. So the hour hand is going to be pointing to the hours. So our hours are the big numbers. So this is our 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and again it's going to go in circles. Those are our hours. So when I'm reading a clock, I'm going to look at the hour hand first, the blue hand. So when we read the hour hand, I'm going to change this a little bit. I'm going to our hour hand, most of the time will probably be pointing between two numbers. Now here's what I like to do. To figure out what hour it is, I'm going to draw a line up and from my arrow on the shorthand, the hour hand, and see where it hits. Now I see that this hour hand is between this 12 and the 1. When your hour hand lands between two of the hours, it's landing between the 12 and the 1, we're going to look at the number that comes first if you're going clockwise. So remember, our clockwise, we're going to the right. Okay, we're going that way. So the one that comes first would be the 12. Okay, so the hour for this time would be 12 o'clock. Now let's try another one. Let's try another hour. Let's see if we can figure it out. So this time I'm going to draw my hour hand, make it blue, to be right there. Okay, so I'm going to take my pencil and extend it out. So I can see that my hour hand is hitting between the 7 and the 8. Now if we're spinning, if we're going this way, we're going around which one comes first, the 7 or the 8? Well, if we're going this way, it's going to be, we're going to go around and around and around. Which comes first? We land on our 7 first, so the hour is going to be 7. And on our digital clock down here, I'm going to put a 0 first since we're not into double digits. You only put a 1 if we get like 10, 11, or 12. So it would be 7. That would be our hour. Now, and we're going to practice a lot with this, so I'm just going to go kind of quickly now, and then we'll practice more later and in class. So now let's look at the minute hand. So the minute hand, we're using red. Let's say we'll go right here. And we're going to be going to the nearest 5 minutes. Okay, so our minute hands, we're going to skip count by 5s all the way around our clock. That's how we tell time by our minutes. And I'm going to start at the 1. So the 1 is where my 5 starts. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and then 60, because there are 60 minutes in an hour, but when we write it, we're starting a new hour, so it's going to be 0. Okay, so remember there are 60 minutes in an hour. There are 24 hours in a day, but the way we tell time, we just start over after we get to 12. So, looking at our minute hand here, all we have to do is line it up. So it lines up at the 4 right now. We're lined up at the 4. But we know that doesn't mean it's 4 minutes. Remember, we have to skip count by 5 4 times. So we're going to start at the 1. So 5, 10, 15, 20. Our minute hand would be at the 20. Okay, what if I moved my minute hand over here? We're going to start at the 1 every single time. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. We would be 50 minutes into this hour if the minute hand landed there. Now, let's do a whole clock for you. So let's do it. Let's tell time for real. So we're going to go here. That's our minute hand. And my hour hand is going to go. Oops. Let's make it a little shorter. My hour hand is going to go there. Let's do our hour first. Remember, I'm going to extend my arrow out to see which 2 hours the hour hand lands between. So remember, we're going to go around the circle and see which one where we stop first. Stops at the 4. Let me erase my clock here. So that's our hour. That's where we're going to put first. I'm going to have 0, 4, because the hour hand lands between the 4 and the 5. Now let's look at our minute hand. My minute hand, we're going to start here and we're going to land on the 3. So we know that we're going to skip count by 5s until we get to the 3. So 5, 10, 15. So our time would be 4:15, and that's how we see it on the analog and the digital clock. Let's do a different one. Let me see here. All right, same thing here. Let's take care of our hour hand first. So my hour hand, that's the short hand, that's the blue one. I'm going to extend it up. I can see that my hour hand is landing between the 11 and the 12. Now, you might look and see like, oh, well, it looks like it's closer to the 12 than the 11. And that's okay, because our hour hand is going to move around the clock as the minute hands get closer to a new hour. And that's fine. So let's draw our line around and see which hour we're on. If we get between the 11 and the 12, let's see which one it gets to first. So we're going around the clock clockwise, and we are getting to the 11 first. So our hour is 11. Now let's look at our minutes. Our minute hand, remember we're going to skip count by 5s, and I'll do that in just a second. Let me do this first. We're going to start at the 12. We're going all the way around until we get to the 11. So now we're going to skip count by 5s all the way around. So we're going to start at the 1. We're going 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. So my time shown on this clock is 11:55. So it's the 11th hour and 55 minutes have passed in that hour. So we will practice one more. Let's do one more. Now, this time is kind of interesting. So my hour hand, it's pointing straight up at the 12. Well, it's not going to be pointing exactly straight up at the 12, because let's do this. Let me fix it a little bit. It's going to be right in the middle. So my hour hand here is here. It's halfway, or it should be, if it was perfect, it would be exactly in the middle between the 12 and the 1. So I'm going to start with my blue pen here, and we're going to go to our hour hand. We're between the 12 and the 1. Which one do we get to first? Well, 12 comes first if we're going clockwise, right? So we're starting at the top and going 12. We're looking at the 12 and the 1. 12 would come first here, which is a little bit interesting because you're like, well, 1's a smaller number. Shouldn't 1 come first? But remember, we're going clockwise around. Okay. So our hour would be 12. And my minutes, let me get my red. We're going to start at the 12, and we're going to go all the way around to here. So let's skip count by 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So it is 12:30. And again, we will practice this some more, but that was an interesting one to look at.